Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And let me tell you, this week there have been a whole bunch of headliners going on, and a lot of things that, for this episode in particular, we shall be discussing. What the fridge am I saying? We will be discussing heavily on this particular episode. Oh, it is going to be fun. However, before I get things started, I just want to start things out by giving out my condolences of a couple of significant people who have passed away this week. And these are two people that really did play a major role in the history of Disney. First and foremost, I think it was around last weekend, actually, that Ron Miller, the former president and CEO of Disney before Michael Eisner stepped in, and the son-in-law of Walt Disney, had unfortunately passed away this week at the age of 85. But just recently, not too long before I started recording this, unfortunately there was also another major passing, and this one, this kind of hurt me a little bit more personally, and that is actually the passing of David Smith, or just Dave Smith, the founder of Walt Disney the founder of Walt Disney Archives. And let me tell you, with this guy, now, over the past years, we have seen a lot of great Disney historians, but Dave Smith in particular is the Disney historian. This is the guy who is responsible for making Disney's past equally as important as Disney's present and Disney's future. The reason why that it is highly important that we should look back and preserve what is a part of Disney's past and what is an important piece of Disney history. He really did play a major role why Disney's legacy is such an admirable and important thing to go and preserve for an entire lifetime. So honestly, Dave Smith was someone that I really did look up to, and it really is sad to hear that he is no longer with us. So my condolences to the passing of both Ron Miller and Dave Smith, and they will both surely be missed. Okay, now with that said and done, we do have a lot of crazy episodes, a lot of crazy stories to go and cover, so let me just go ahead and ask the chat wall, guys, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me go ahead and hear it from you guys. Are you all ready? Let's see now. Okay, yes, we are seeing some people. They are excited, they are prepared, they are ready. That is perfect! So let's go ahead and not waste any more time. We're gonna get things started and begin with our first story, that we are going to be doing something that we haven't done in a while, which is actually watching a trailer. And this could debatably be one of the biggest animated trailers of 2019. So we're going to go ahead and start things off by watching the teaser trailer of Frozen 2. Dang, guys, and that was the trailer for Frozen 2. I mean, holy crap. And I think I might as well start things off by saying that this was not the tone that you would expect, not just from a Frozen movie, but from a Disney movie in general. Like, this was honestly quite a surprise. And especially the fact that this is kind of the first time that we really do see this side of the Frozen characters. This is the first time that we really do see them be 100% fully serious. Because if you remember all the way back from 2013, the first time we ever saw any form of footage from Frozen, it was pretty much the opposite of what we got with this one right over here. You might remember back in the day before Frozen became one of the biggest animated franchises of all time, where the teaser trailer that they released for that, it explained nothing about what the movie would be about. What we had with the first teaser trailer of the original Frozen was this cute little cartoon of Olaf and Sven slipping on the ice all over and tumbling upon themselves while they were trying to get the carrot, where it was Olaf's nose, but Sven is hungry and all that kind of stuff. They pretty much made this little 2-minute cartoon with that thing. So it was trying to be very lighthearted. It was trying to be cute. You know, it's something a little bit more appealing towards kids. And even though it is not representative of what the movie would actually be, still, like, that was that movie's first impression. Whereas in this one right over here, oh man, the gloves are off. And in some cases, like, quite literally, like, right at the start when Elsa was at the beach, when, like, she was preparing herself, like, she took off her boots, she took off, like, whatever thing she doesn't need. Like, she's ready to just get out there. And it's quite fascinating to see how serious this trailer is. Down to the point that, honestly, it feels very much like a Marvel movie. Like, they're really going more towards a superhero route with this, showing the mystery of, like, the adventure that Elsa and the gang are gonna go into. Like, even this one overview shot, like, when you see all the characters together, like, this one over here, it's almost as if Elsa and the gang, they're pretty much ready to go and fight off Thanos. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, a surprise twist, and that this is actually another teaser trailer for Avengers Endgame, where Elsa is just looking out there like, well, half the universe is pretty much gone, and we're all still here. Might as well go ahead and fight Thanos. So, do we know where Captain America is? Do we know where Rocket Raccoon is? We gotta go and join those guys. No, but it really does have that major serious tone. And for me, I was expecting maybe there would be some kind of lighthearted humor that would be involved. And, like, maybe there would be something at the end. But no, it was kind of like the opposite. Where the shot that they presented is like, hey, can I come join your adventure? And Anna's, like, on the side going, oh, hell no! Like, she just grabbed that sword and just sliced off whatever intruder was coming towards them. So clearly with what they want to present with Frozen 2 is that they want to go a little bit more serious with the direction that they want to go. Now, I do want to emphasize right now the fact that most likely that's not going to be the case when the movie would actually come out. I'm not saying that it's going to be a flat-out comedy and that this trailer right over here is very misleading. That's not the case. But what I am trying to say is that it's not going to be, like, the movie itself, I am guaranteed that it's not going to be 100% serious the whole way through. There will be some lighthearted gags thrown in here and there, especially when they do have some characters like Sven and Olaf. In fact, I'm actually quite surprised that Olaf was barely viewed in this trailer. But there are a few significant clips that we do see him. Like, oh, I just realized that, like, the scene where, like, Elsa is surrounded by a ring of fire, which I realize, like, I think it's, like, shaped in a form of a heart or something, but, like, you see right over here, like, she's trying to get rid of the fire, and, oh, I'll talk about you later, but you do see that she's trying to protect Olaf from this ring of fire. So, yes, Olaf is involved in this adventure as well, but we don't know the kind of roles that each character would have. But I will say, though, even though the tone is definitely different and maybe not fully representative of what Frozen is all about, I will say that, holy crap, this is an epic trailer and probably one of the best trailers that Disney had ever released in a long time. Because one thing that this movie did that, honestly, it should be the first question that it had to answer is, what else can you do with another Frozen movie? What more can you add from your adaptation of the Snow Queen? And without fully explaining what it is, basically this trailer is Disney's answer of saying, oh, we got ideas. We're not going to tell you what they are, but we're going to show you little clips. Like, you know, we're seeing so many situations, like, at the beginning, like, why is Elsa on this beach? Why is she trying to get away from it and try to walk on the ocean? You know, like, why is it that Elsa is trying to pull off her own Moana in this case? Or like some other examples, like this shot right over here. Like when Anna walks out of the doors of Arendelle, why are there all these crystals going on? Or like, and also like this shot over here with Kristoff riding on Sven. Like, who's all this reindeer? Like, are we gonna have a bit of a family reunion with Sven's family? Like, who are these guys? And also, especially, hold on a sec, where is that girl? Who is this? Because that's the one significant thing that people really got the most attention, is the fact that even though she barely appeared for like a second in this trailer, this girl, like she has red hair, and it's not necessarily Anna, since she is dressed a little bit differently, but she is this new character, and people are already spreading massive theories about who she is, and I'm not 100% sure. Is she, maybe this is another, I don't know, like, because in that particular scene as well, like, we see the wind blowing, and there, like, it shoots out this person. Like, I don't know if this is either Elsa or this is, like, another character. I don't know. Like, I want to see if I could get a clear shot of the face or something like that. Maybe this is another new character, but we also do get a little bit of hints that new characters are also going to be involved as well. So this really is the definition of a teaser trailer, showing us that they are coming up with new ideas, but not necessarily telling us what they are, immediately capturing our intrigue. And I will say, though, that even though I did state that, well, technically, in terms of the trailer that we have, in terms of a serious tone, I know that it's not going to be as serious when the movie will come out, but this is not to say that these serious moments won't happen at all. Like, the feeling that this movie is going to be epic and that Elsa and the gang are going to go onto this grand adventure. We did get a little bit of that feeling as well in the first Frozen, so that's going to transcend onto this one as well. And this is not to mention as well, of course, how the animation is spectacular. In fact, even right at the opening, like with Elsa trying to escape the ocean, it honestly, the feeling of that is a little bit reminiscent to when the trailer of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was released. If you guys remember the first look that we ever got of that, it's when Miles was on the side of the skyscraper and decided to jump out of it, and we see him like falling down, and like, you know, he's like falling on air, and we see like the entire New York City that's just completely upside down, like that amazing shot. You know, I do feel like that sense of epicness, and it's like, what is going on? You know, it's a little bit very similar to what we got here in this teaser trailer, where Elsa is trying to walk away from the ocean and using her ice powers in order to go and escape. So honestly, there really is that element of mystery and intrigue, but also extremely well-crafted animation that we could expect from Disney. So overall, I will say that with this trailer right over here, this immediately shot it up to become one of my most anticipated animated sequels of 2019 and one of my most anticipated animated movies ever. And this doesn't count How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, considering that as I am recording this, like, I just realized, holy crap, it's gonna be less than a week until that movie would be officially released in theaters. So, like, I really am excited for that one, but I can't say that I'm anticipated for it anymore because it's gonna be coming out soon, and then maybe by the time that you'll be watching or listening to this later down the line, like, maybe it'll be coming out and I'll have released my review or something like that. So but in terms of the ones that will be coming out soon, Frozen 2 is definitely my most anticipated animated sequel. And I mean, even on that front, there isn't much competition when you really do think about it, because, like, yeah, there are some maybes, and there are some movies that have yet to fully show its potential that it could be good. Like, for example, the Shaun of the Sheep sequel, or Toy Story 4, of course. But then you got others that, honestly, I think we can all agree that they are definitely going to be better. There are others that they're not going to be as good as Frozen 2, like Angry Birds 2 or Secret Life of Pets 2. So, honestly, with what this trailer showed us, it is absolutely amazing and really caught our intrigue. So honestly, this is an incredible job from the people at Disney and the people who made this trailer. This is absolutely phenomenal because Disney is not usually known for having such compelling and engaging trailers. They're not usually good with their trailers. So seeing this one is a massive change of pace. So this is honestly very fascinating. But before I continue, I would like to mention about some of the theories that have been passed around, especially when it comes to the mystery girl and what is going on. So I'll just go ahead and start things off about the mystery girl, and already there have been several theories that have been passed around regarding what is even going on in the first place. And of course, the old rumors of Elsa might possibly getting a girlfriend they've been popping up, and even though nobody knows, except for the people at Disney who are making this film, like, nobody really knows who this girl possibly is, but some people are thinking that maybe she is a girlfriend. And I'm gonna put my doubt onto this one. I'm not saying that I will be angry or I will be mad at Disney if they actually did it. You know, I would be fine either way, but I don't know. I don't think that... I still don't believe that Disney would actually really go out there and try to make Elsa actually gay, you know? It's just way too risky, and especially in this day and age, there are still some people who are highly homophobic that are just gonna get angry and they're just gonna go and attack. And especially, again, in this day and age, especially with all Trump supporters being homophobic, they would not be cool, and they would try to boycott Disney if they would do that in Frozen 2. And by the way, just on a side note, because I've dealt with idiots like that on social media and had to call them out, please do not say that you hope that Elsa is not gay or you hope that Elsa doesn't get a girlfriend. Fictional or not, you never hope for someone that they are not gay, because that is a homophobic statement. And if you do state that, then yes, that does make you homophobic. I thought I would just lay it out there. So even though I doubt that it's not going to actually happen, that Elsa would get a girlfriend, I don't think, like, they're gonna touch into any of the LGBT issues in Frozen 2, but, yeah, honestly, I don't know who this particular girl is, so honestly, my best answer is just wait and see what's gonna happen. But there is also another theory that is a lot more interesting to discuss about, and I do feel like it is one that really is worth talking about, and I can actually see that develop. And what I'm talking about is the factor that, as you could tell, like, hold on, let me just get this big shot. Well, okay, you got a good shot here, but like this one in particular, you can see that in terms of seasons, Frozen 2 is going to be set in the fall, or there is something out there that is pretty much turning everything into the fall season. So that's pretty much a big clue in terms of what the plot is going to be going on. But some people are theorizing right now that there is a possibility that Elsa is not the only one who has powers. And apparently, there are going to be some seasonal-based powers, where Elsa represents winter, and apparently, maybe this new girl that we just saw, maybe she has powers like Elsa, but she would have fall powers, where she can control the wind, just like the little shot that you see here, where, like, this person is just blown on the wind. That could be the case, and then, like, we could see other characters as well that might actually have powers of, like, spring and also powers of summer. So they could be exploring other characters that could have powers. In a way, they could have an element that is similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender incorporated onto Frozen 2. Where technically you could say Elsa is a waterbender, and then, like, you got the new character here that could be an airbender, and then, like, the person who is Summer is a firebender, and then also the spring person might be an earthbender. I talked about this with my friends, and we're just, like, shooting out ideas, and it does seem pretty interesting, and if Disney does go into that route, I really do believe that at that point, it is possible that they might find some major ideas in terms of what they could explore with the world of Arendelle and with the world of Frozen. So honestly, with this trailer, it really, I think honestly, with the fact that these theories are all coming out with the powers and the new character, the fact that people are really discussing about these theories, I think that is another power of how this trailer really is effective as a legitimate teaser, where people are just shooting out ideas and thinking about the possibilities of what this movie is going to be. So I think that really should emphasize that this is just an amazing trailer that really got a lot of people talking, and it really did succeed in the mission that it's trying to shoot out. So, honestly, yeah, again, major kudos to Disney and the people who made this trailer for doing this. Honestly, this is one of the best teaser trailers that I've ever seen from a Disney movie in a long time, and I cannot wait for Frozen 2. Now, it's going to be a long time until this movie is going to come out. It's going to be released in November, but the anticipation is already building up. So let's just hope for the best when the movie will be coming out in November. All right. So with that said and done, let us go into the chat wall. And now I'm going to be asking you guys, what do you all think of the Frozen 2 trailer? Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? Are you interested? Are you not? Do you have any more theories about it? Let me know what you think. Okay, so let's see what some people have to say about it. With a few of the scenes that we do see in this trailer, like the heart-shaped purple fire and the floating crystals, it is possible we will learn a bit more about the magic that exists in the world of Frozen, like the origins of Elsa's ice magic. That was something that was mostly unexplained in the first movie. That is actually true. You know, you do bring up a good idea about the origins of where Elsa got her powers. I mean, at the most, we only got a little bit of clues with the trolls. Because, like, some people would easily forget about the trolls, and some people would think that maybe they're just goofy side characters just singing out, "She's just a bit of a fixer-upper, she's got a couple of bugs." Honestly, I do find that to be a bit of an underrated song. But with the trolls, they do play a significant part in the world of Frozen, where they would explain the magic. And yeah, that is true that why Elsa has these powers in the first place, it is barely looked upon, so maybe on this one, we could see a little bit more. Okay, let's see now, what else do we got? While I'm not all that down for the mere concept of a Frozen sequel, since I thought the first movie was just okay, but this trailer completely subverted my expectations. The animation looks top-notch, and the vocalizing in the trailer got me nearly teary-eyed. But one question remains, is the concept of a lesbian Elsa gonna remain? I'm down either way. And again, I will say, like, honestly, I will say for that question, I doubt it, but if they did do it, I'm not gonna be against it. Yeah, and you know that, you do bring up a very good point where, like, honestly, this trailer is legitimately so good, where it's even grabbing the attention of those who are not necessarily fond of the first Frozen movie, where I've even seen comments from people saying that they even hated the first Frozen, like they would even consider themselves a Frozen hater, but after watching this, they were just blown away, and they're suddenly all excited to go and check out Frozen. So, honestly, if it can even appease the haters, then, yeah, honestly, we could be getting something great. Let's see, do we have, like, we got plenty of comments on this. Oh, wow, okay. Let's see now. I've been a huge fan of Frozen since its release in 2013. Frozen made me fall in love with Disney animation all over again. I was at high school at the time, that's why. I've met the characters at my favorite, I met the characters at Disneyland hundreds of times. Both Anna and Elsa are my favorite Disney characters of all time. As for the sequel, this could be a whole new level of the franchise. I've seen Kristen Bell's Instagram stories, and I'm interested as well. This teaser made my day when it was released. Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Let's see now. I thought this trailer looks great and interesting. Although I'm not a huge Frozen fan, I thought the first movie was good, not great. I just thought the first movie was overrated due to so many merchandising and shorts. Remember Olaf's Frozen Adventure? Oh yeah, that's definitely true. But I do understand why everybody loved this movie. Ooh, excuse me. No, the commenter did not burp in the middle. This Frozen 2 trailer, however, made me change my mind and got me interested in seeing this movie, as it's shown to be more adventurous than I thought. I'll keep an eye on that on the movie. And that's honestly another great point that you do mention, is the factor that the reason, like, it does explain why this tone is a lot more serious than the other properties that, or the other Frozen projects that we have seen before, because nowadays we have often viewed Frozen as something that would be a little bit more geared towards kids, especially with some of the Frozen shorts like Frozen Fever and especially Olaf's Frozen Adventure. And the last time that Frozen was prominent in the news with Olaf's Frozen Adventure, it did get a bit of a negative press, and especially the fact that a 21-minute animated short should not be in front of an animated feature. That is a bit of a stupid move from Disney. But honestly, with this trailer, the fact that they want to say that Frozen should be taken seriously, I think it really is a smart move to show that they have moved on from the days of Olaf's Frozen Adventures. So that really is smart right there. Alright, I know a lot of people have been commenting, but I'll just take one more and then I'm going to move on to the next story. So where can I go with? Okay. Holy crap, this trailer looks sensational. I already watched it about 15 times. The animation looks beautiful. The music with the new version of Wooly is fantastic. And it looks like the film is going to be more serious and perhaps more Elsa-centered. Easily my most anticipated animated film for this year. Can't wait to see it. However, there is a shot of the gang over a cliff and Olaf doesn't have this personal flurry. Do you think they'll have an explanation for that? You know, that is a good point. Because, like, at the end of, because it is true that, technically, at the end of, the first Frozen movie, Olaf would have his own flurry so that he could survive in the summer. But technically, we are talking about the fall, like, as you could tell, the whole thing is set during the fall. And fall is often a cold weather, so it is, like, it's not necessarily going to be a hot season, but it is going to be cold enough for Olaf to survive. So I'm not necessarily worried about Olaf's lack of flurry, because even without it, he could survive the fall weather. And I'm saying that as a Canadian, and sometimes we can have some pretty cold falls, like when the degrees would go into the minuses, so I should know. Alright! Now, that was definitely fun, and it really did get us pumped up for the next stories, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next story, and this one is actually another teaser trailer that we do have in our hands. But this one, however, this did not get the same kind of reactions that Frozen 2 got. In fact, it is a little bit of the opposite. And oh boy! Like this one, however, it did get a lot of people talking, but not for all the right reasons. So with that said, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at the special look at the live-action remake of Aladdin.
You really don't know who I am. Genie, wishes, lamb, none of that ringing a bell.
Oh boy! Oh boy, folks! And that is the special look of Disney's Aladdin, the live-action remake of Aladdin that is coming out this year, which I believe they released it during the Grammy Awards. And, okay. I might as well go ahead and start things out by talking about what we're all thinking of, and probably the highlight of this trailer. Where's my boy, Will Smith? Will Smith, oh god. Okay. Where do I begin with this? I think, honestly, I might as well give a little bit of context about why this trailer even exists in the first place. Because I do get a feeling is that the reason why Disney made this special look is the fact that they want to try to please the fans. Because if you guys remember, I think a little over a month ago, Disney actually released the first look of Disney's Aladdin and showed a series of images through Entertainment Weekly. And that was our first time where we saw characters like, well, not really Aladdin. We've seen a little bit of a picture of him before in the teaser trailer, but now we have, the first time we have prominently seen Aladdin, the first time we've prominently seen Jasmine, and of course, the first time that we have prominently seen Will Smith as the Genie. But that Genie was a little bit different. He was not like the same one that we've seen in the animated films. In fact, the Will Smith Genie we saw in Entertainment Weekly, that one is a little bit more reminiscent to the Broadway version of the Genie, where he's a little bit more suited up, like he's dressed for the part, and even though he is not necessarily blue, he would fit within his environment. And that one, believe it or not, people, that actually got some controversy where people did get legitimately upset of the fact that he wasn't blue. So in a way, Disney made this special look in order to please those fans to say, there, see, we are making Will Smith blue for this movie, just like in the animated film. And I will say this though, you know, looking at this, it is true that Will Smith does look a lot like Genie from the animated movie. You know, like, among all these Disney live-action remakes, at least the Genie here, he does stay pretty true to his original design in the animated film. But looking at what we got here, it's almost like, you know, it pretty much proved to us that maybe it's not a good idea to stay very true to the animated source material, because this here, oh god, we have entered into some creepy, uncanny valley. And it was hard to describe what was the whole problem with it, but I mean, like, it is pretty obvious to say that, yes, part of the major problem really is the fact that it's like they took the animated Genie and they just slapped Will Smith's face on it. I mean, that could most likely be the case of what they have done here. But honestly, if we just go back and just see a little bit of what he was doing, like, if you just look at the movements, it's just, there's just something that doesn't feel right about it. It's really like you're going into some massive uncanny valley. And I just realized it recently. What is the major problem is that it gives out the same kind of feeling that we had with the Robert Zemeckis motion capture films. If you remember the ones by Image Movers Digital, the reason why people are so heavily critical over the visuals of movies like The Polar Express or Beowulf or the Jim Carrey A Christmas Carol movie or especially Mars Needs Moms is the factor that they look very uncanny. The factor that they are computer-generated characters, but they try to move realistically and it just feels very unnatural. And that's the same kind of feeling that we see right over here, is that it's trying to be realistic, but it doesn't work because we know it's fake. There's just something that's really uncomfortable in terms of watching Will Smith coming to life with all this blue CGI and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, the most that they have done with this Genie, it's almost as if they took Will Smith and they decided to go and give him a whole bunch of that gum in Willy Wonka. You know, the gum that, like, it's supposed to be like an entire meal, like, with an appetizer, a main course, and then a dinner. Like, the one that Violet Beauregard took in order to become a freaking blueberry. Like, she becomes big and she becomes round. It's like Will Smith is in the middle of that process. And, like, I can imagine, like, right at the end of the scene, like, when Aladdin and the Genie has to walk out, it's like Aladdin has to walk away and go, I got a blueberry for a Genie. It's almost like that. And honestly, it's just, you know, it's not, it looks really uncomfortable to look at. And, you know, it's weird because many people have done this before, but it's almost like if Disney literally did exactly what everyone would do when they would make their thumbnails for their videos. In fact, I think I even did that once, where it's like you take the animated Genie and you slap in Will Smith's face on it, and there you go. This is our new character. Yeah, not a good idea, guys. Just, you know, honestly, it's like, this is not a good idea. Please take it back. And all I'm asking is, you know, hopefully Will Smith is not going to be like that throughout the whole movie, and hopefully we will get more shots of the Will Smith we got from Entertainment Weekly. Like, maybe this is only going to be in the Cave of Wonders, and that's it. Like, once he gets out, then he's going to blend in with the crowd and look more human than look like this freaking Boo-Berry monster thing. Like, honestly, this looks more close to being a live-action adaptation of Boo-Berry, more so than it is the Genie from Aladdin. It's honestly a bit ridiculous. Less of this, please. More of what we got in Entertainment Weekly. But I will say, though, you know what is actually the weirdest thing about this? You know what's the weirdest thing is that this CGI right over here, that, you know, this is the only scene in particular where the CGI is particularly bad. Because there are other shots that are not necessarily that bad. In fact, like, for once, there are actually a few moments where there are some things that are pretty good to look at. Just to point out a few examples, like, you know, we do see our first prominent shot of Jasmine moving, and I will admit, Naomi Scott does look pretty great as the part. And then, like, just before that, we actually do have a shot of Prince Ali. It's pretty much this big overview shot, and you see everybody gathering around to see this big parade. And, of course, this is supposed to be the big Prince Ali scene. And I'm not gonna lie, maybe this is because, like, we're, like, all the way in the back and we're seeing everybody, like, from a far distance. But this doesn't look bad. And, oh my god, I actually just noticed. Okay, so good news is, I don't think the Genie is going to be blue throughout the whole picture, because I just noticed, like, if you look closely, like, right in the corner of this Prince Ali shot, you'll see right over here, that's the Genie. And the Will Smith Genie is not blue, so that is a bit of a reassurance that that Will Smith is not going to be blue throughout the whole picture. So at least that's some good news right over there. At least we do have that. And also, another piece of CGI that is actually pretty good, if we do go back a little bit, is actually Abu. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Abu is not that bad. You know, it's actually decently designed. You know, the movements, they are subtle, but, you know, it is actually pretty decent. So, I'll give it credit that, okay, Abu is probably the best thing that they've made for this movie. But that's actually a pretty bad sign for this live-action remake when your saving grace is the godforsaken monkey. So yeah, it is kind of weird where, at least in terms of the quality of the visuals, it really is a massive mixed bag where you got some things that do look pretty nice, but then suddenly you have to cap it off with what people wanted to wait for the most. How is Will Smith going to look like as the Genie? Not good. Definitely not good. And you know, the irony of it all, and just going back about what we have discussed before regarding that this is what people wanted, you know, the factor that Disney made this as the purpose of satisfying people who want to see Will Smith as a legitimate blue Genie, this really is a case of be careful what you wish for. Because you look at this, and technically, this is what people demanded. This is what people got angry at with those Entertainment Weekly pictures. Like, they were mad at the fact that the Genie wasn't blue, so now they got their wish. This is the blue Genie that you wanted. It's almost as if Disney kind of reenacted that scene in Aladdin where the Genie got pissed off, where they were like, no way, no more complaining. You're getting your blue Genie, so sit down. I remember, honestly, that's just a little bit of a reference. The joke was already done before by several people. I remember seeing one that is a little bit similar. I think Saber Sparks actually made that tweet and made that kind of reference. So, yeah, that's basically what we got with this. And on a side note, I just want to mention, though, that At this point, because of this trailer in particular, the hate against Disney live-action remakes, it really is starting to become real, where people are becoming a lot more vocal about it. You know, when this trailer came out, it started out by getting some mixed reactions, where some people liked it and some people don't. But then as time would go and move on, then suddenly, the people who don't like it, they start to become a little bit more and more and more vocal. Down to the point where, by the way, this video in particular, this is from the official Walt Disney Studios YouTube channel. And if you look at the likes and dislikes ratio, we got 62,000 likes. And by the way, this is by the time that I am recording this. We got 62,000 likes and 62,000 likes and 99,000 likes, nearly 100,000 likes. So, of course, this is a trailer where it's gathering a lot more dislikes than legitimate likes. And I think this really is a bit of a testament that we really do live in an upside-down world, where for some reason, Sony is the one that would release an animated film that's gathering all the awards for Best Animated Picture. Meanwhile, Disney is the one that is releasing a trailer that's been gathering a whole bunch of dislikes throughout social media. What the fridge is going on? Anyways, Disney is now taking legitimate note of that people are starting to get sick and tired of these live-action remakes, and that they are really not liking what they are seeing with stuff like Disney's Aladdin. And there is actually a theory that has been passed around that is honestly very interesting and worth mentioning in here in particular, because the thing is, Disney was highly aware that people were hating on this trailer, that the majority of people did not like what they saw with this live-action remake of Aladdin, and especially with our first major look with the Genie. So Disney had to take drastic measures and go with a desperate plan in order to go and try to get the attention away from this trailer to have people talk about something else and to have them be more positive about Disney. And what I'm discussing about, of course, is this: the Frozen 2 trailer. People are legitimately saying that the reason why we got the Frozen 2 trailer so early is because of damage control of the disastrous reactions for the live-action remake of Aladdin. And it does kind of make sense when you really do think about it, considering that, as I've stated before, Frozen 2 wouldn't necessarily come out until in November, so that's pretty much like 9 months from now. Technically, we shouldn't have a trailer, a teaser trailer just yet. So the factor that they did release that in order to try to get people to step away from the Genie, like, technically you could debate if it either worked or not, but it does make sense as to why we even got that trailer of Frozen 2. And you know, the worst thing is that they are at the point of no return, because people are already making fun of Will Smith Genie, and they're already making numerous gags, especially when it comes to switching the color palette of this blue Genie in particular, where now people are just trying to make fun of Will Smith and making so many different memes. Like, I saw that there was like a purple version where they're trying to make Will Smith as Thanos, and of course, considering that we are talking about memes, you cannot walk away with a viral meme without having a Shrek version. Yes, there are people out there, they would take this Will Smith and they would decide to change his color into green and give him Shrek ears. That's what they would go and do on the internet. So of course that would happen. But yeah, I will say though that this movie, this trailer in particular, this was a godforsaken mess. And I've seen people on social media mention that this week it was really weird the way that Disney would go and release both one of their best and one of their worst trailers at the same time within a span of just a few days. So yeah, honestly, like, you know, I'm not going to say that this movie is going to be terrible. Like, there is a good chance that maybe this live-action remake can actually come out, and it could turn out to be pretty good. It could actually turn out to be highly enjoyable. But honestly, after watching this, after seeing this Genie, my doubts have massively increased. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't know, guys. This I don't know if I'm okay with this. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. This doesn't look good. Yeah. So that's honestly what I could say about it. Alright. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the live action remake of Aladdin. So now I want to know, what do you guys think in the chat wall? And I want to ask, what do you all think about the special look of the live action remake of Aladdin? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? Do you guys like this new Will Smith? Do you guys not? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, let's see now. Let's see. This special look was rough. Jafar isn't menacing. The color palette for the most part is so dark and boring. The Cave of Wonders looks wimpy, and the genie is something else. The CGI is so distracting, and I believe they should have kept Will Smith's original skin color. Maybe they actually will, like you said later on in the film. Really, the only thing I liked were the shots of Jasmine and the Prince Ali sequences, as well as the music, but that's not a surprise since it is Alan Menken and Tim. Yeah, I mean, like, there are a few good things to note, but the bad stuff is just way too overbearing. And yeah, like, you know, honestly, you know, even though we have talked about Jafar before and how in this live action remake, they're really trying to make Jafar sexy, especially with the actor that they brought in, but, like, he does sound a bit like a wimp. He's just there like, bring me the lamp, Aladdin. Could you please just go and get in the Cave of Wonders and bring me the lamp? Yeah, it's like, oh boy, I mean, looks is gonna be one thing, but acting is gonna be another major obstacle. Okay, let's see now. Dan Castellaneta and Jim Meskimen's voice of the Genie look like Academy Award winners compared to Will Smith. Also, since the Genie in the 1992 film was a character who likes references and modern-day pop culture at the time, do you think Will Smith's Genie will reference this decade's, like, smartphones? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's no denying. There's no denying. Will Smith is going to do pop culture references. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if Will Smith is going to do references to his own movies. Like, he's going to do, like, some kind of weird Wild Wild West reference. You know for a fact he's going to do a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reference. So, honestly, that's not going to be beneath me. I'm sure that's going to happen. That's going to happen for sure. Let's see. I'm having low expectations on the live-action Aladdin, but this Guy Ritchie, who have come out from King Arthur, but some shots look good regarding the capital city. Yeah, okay, yeah, you do bring up a good point, considering that it is from Guy Ritchie. And in recent years, Guy Ritchie has been releasing box office bomb after box office bomb, and after the reactions that I've been seeing so far, I would not be surprised if this is going to be another of Guy Ritchie's bombs. So, I don't know. So far, things have been extremely messy with this live-action remake. I can tell you that. Okay, let's see now. What else do we have here? I think it isn't bad since this is coming from Desor Studios, who did Thanos, since I know from my Visual Effects University course. According to Wikipedia, that the Will Smith Genie will be his human disguise like in the original movie. Overall, I think it looks fine, but the haters can't hate on something that they have not released yet. I have to say, wait until it comes out, and then express anyone's opinions later. Plus, get yourself a Genie lamp prop from for your review. Oh boy, okay, yeah, you do bring up a good point that it is probably for the best that we do have to wait and see before we do fully express an opinion, but we'll see. Oh my god, oh no. I guess we need Big Chungus and Shaggy to take on Will Smith here. Oh god. The meme battle is raging on. The dynamic duo of God Shaggy and Big Chungus fighting off against Blue Will Smith. Oh god, that would be a major sight to behold. Oh boy. Okay, one more thing to read and then I'll move on to something else. Let's see. Aladdin should never have been a live-action remake. It honestly was a bad idea due to its source material, bless its heart, being cartoony and fun. Movies like this have hues closer to the source material should never be made, because it will look weird and it would look weird in live action. I lost interest as soon as I realized the animals will not have a huge part. Well, I mean, yeah, like, we can't really expect Raja to have a much bigger role in this version, and I mean, Abu is going to be there, but again, I'm expecting probably he'll have the same role as he did in the animated film. Okay, so, I think that's pretty much all good with what we got over here. I think we're pretty much all done with the trailers. So we went through the best and we went through the worst. And now we're going to go and move on to our next story, in which with this one, we do see a major strategy that is going on. But the one part that really got a lot of people interested is actually this one element that it caught a lot of people's eye, and it got a lot of people discussing about it. And folks, we're going to be going a little bit away from Disney, and we shall be discussing about Nickelodeon. So the big plan with what Nickelodeon has currently going on is that they want to try to go and find new ways in order to grab audiences' attention, because the report actually came out, according to the new president of Nickelodeon, Brian Robbins, that there are now less and less and less people right now that are, and especially less kids, that are actually gonna go and watch television. Kids nowadays, they would rather go and watch streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and all that kind of stuff, or they would watch stuff through their phones, like they would like to watch YouTube videos and just stuff that they would find on social media and on the internet. So Brian Robbins has developed this plan in order to find a way to bring audiences back into watching Nickelodeon. And not just necessarily for bringing the audience back onto the TV channel, but also have the TV channel go to them, where he would want to go and develop new shows that would be available on those streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and all that stuff. In fact, let me go ahead and read a quote here from Variety, as it states, there are definitely headwinds, and for all linear television, in many ways, the kids' business has been the most affected by it. Robbins told Variety, pointing that young viewers quickly adopting of streaming and mobile devices in recent years. Still, he notes, if you make content and shows that kids want to watch, they will show up for it. And on top of that, he has also revealed the animated series that he wants to go and develop. And these would include, just again, reading through my source material, among the new properties heading Nickelodeon is the first ever spin-offs, that's with an S by the way, of characters from its mainstay animated series, SpongeBob SquarePants. Nickelodeon has acquired the rights to develop series featuring Paddington, the popular British bear, and characters from the recent spate of Lego movies. There are some revivals of Nick favorites in the works as well, and new moves to make Nickelodeon content available on platforms that kids like to watch. So, basically, this is a major strategy in order to go and expand their viewership, not just within its own channel, but also across different platforms to really get the name Nickelodeon out there. Because they can't just sustain on just its TV channel alone. They gotta really get out there. And it's really interesting to mention about that as well, because we are already seeing that in development. You might remember the news not too long ago regarding the fact that they want to make a live-action series of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they want to remake the TV show, but now with live action, and that's going to be available for Netflix. But then also, and I believe this was a news that we have already, well, I didn't talk about it in my podcast in particular, but it had made its rounds where there have been news that reported that Nickelodeon was teaming up with Netflix in order to go and release a movie based on Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Loud House, making animated films for Netflix. So that is a major part in terms of bringing its name out there onto the streaming service, where first Nickelodeon has to follow where the kids are watching and then have the kids follow to where they should be watching, like on the TV show, like on the television with Nickelodeon. It is an interesting strategy, and it is a pretty good way to try to go and expand its viewership and try to, you know, to really try to make sure they can really update their plans to make sure that in terms of their viewership in general can still be very significant, not necessarily on television, but also in other platforms, to really keep Nickelodeon alive, but not confined itself onto television. So we are seeing that before, and now we are seeing a lot more of it, and especially with the new series that they are discussing about. Now, one thing I will say that I really do doubt, and it does seem a little bit weird, is the fact that they mentioned that that apparently that it states that they have acquired the rights to characters from the recent spate of Lego movies. Now that I don't necessarily know. Like, maybe they would make a Lego series, but I don't know if there would be anything that would be directly linked with the Lego movie, because that would be a little bit weird to look at. That would be a weird thing to watch, especially the fact that when at Cartoon Network, they already got Unikitty, which of course is a spin-off to the Lego movie. So seeing two different Lego series that are on two separate rivaling channels, that would be a weird thing. So I don't know what Nickelodeon wants to develop with that, but I don't know. I just find that to be a bit of a weird, like, kind of a weird thing, especially when it's from a movie that technically is not from Viacom. But then you got some other shows as well, where you got Paddington, which honestly, I have nothing against with it, and I do think it does seem a pretty good, it seems like a pretty nice and pretty solid idea, especially the fact that I did hear that Ben Winshaw is actually going to be reprising his role for this animated series. So they are definitely staying true to the recent movies that came out with the original film and Paddington 2, which the sequel, many people have deemed it as one of the most underrated movies of 2018. So honestly, seeing a series of that, I feel like you cannot do any wrong with it. So that, you know, honestly, I feel like that's going to be a bit of a fascinating watch. But then we got the big one that really got a lot of people talking about, and especially the one that really made the headline, is about the SpongeBob spinoff. That apparently Nickelodeon wants to try to create a spinoff to SpongeBob SquarePants. And in this article, they did discuss a little bit more about it, of what could possibly be that kind of idea. And I'm trying to see if they did, like Brian Robbins did, clarify a little bit more of what he wants to do with this SpongeBob series. So just reading a little bit from that paragraph. The decision to broaden SpongeBob may be Robbins' most surprising move. The series has been a staple of Nickelodeon since 1999, which means it has multiple generations of fans to reach. That is our Marvel Universe. You have this amazing show that's run for almost 20 years, in which this year is going to be the 20th anniversary. While he pledged that Nickelodeon will always make SpongeBob, Robbins sees ample room to explore other characters. Among the options on the let me rephrase that. Among the options on the table are to tell an original story about SpongeBob and Patrick, or maybe tell a Sandy Cheeks standalone story. Or can Plankton have his own? I think the fans are clamoring for it. Are you sure about that, dude? Are you sure fans are clamoring for a spin-off series? Especially the fact that when it comes to Nickelodeon, they're not necessarily that well known when it comes to spin-off series. Especially the fact that when you do say a Nickelodeon spin-off series, the first one that people will immediately indicate towards would be Planet Sheen, and that one kind of came out as a bit of a disaster right over there, like one of those animated series that the cartoon community doesn't necessarily want to talk about. Yeah, that kind of bad. So it is kind of weird to see that they want to go back into this spin-off world, and especially have it on while the original animated series would still be going. But I'm not going to say that this is a terrible idea and that they shouldn't do it. I mean, especially with the fact that SpongeBob has been on for nearly 20 years, maybe there could be a way that they could actually take a character and make an entire spin-off series. But I did think about it a little bit regarding if they would actually go and do it, what would be the character that would be perfect for that? And some people, I can imagine they would say that maybe like a Patrick spin-off series or a Squidward series or a Mr. Krabs series and all that stuff. But I feel like if there was one character perfect to have her own spin-off series, it would hands down be Sandy. Like Sandy, I feel like would be perfect to have her own series, because really think about it. Sandy is one of the few SpongeBob characters that really does stand out on her own. And not necessarily because she is a mammal living in an aquatic world, but also the factor of her personality, that she is a little bit more wild, more eccentric, and a little bit more action-packed. And especially the action-packed element, I feel like it really does lend well into having her own series. That maybe with Sandy, considering that she's all about Texas, they can make it a little bit more Western themed, and from there they can make it a little bit more action oriented, where she would have her karate skills, or she would go on these major adventures where Sandy would have to go and fight off bad guys. It would be something that I feel like it would be different from what we had with what we normally see with SpongeBob, but it will be a little bit familiar with a bit of that SpongeBob tone. Like, it would be different, but familiar at the same time. So honestly, something with Sandy would actually work out best when it comes to this idea of a spin-off series of SpongeBob. Other than that, it would be really hard to imagine what else they really do with it. I mean, considering that the SpongeBob world has become so big throughout its 20 years that they can make anything, really. But honestly, I do feel like we would have to wait and see. But in terms of the actual plan itself of really adapting onto streaming services and going beyond what they would air on television, this is going to be interesting. Who knows if this is actually going to work out, if Nickelodeon can actually find an audience beyond its TV channel. Honestly, will it work out? We don't know, but yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy. But I don't know. I do hope that Nickelodeon is the best. I know that they got a lot planned for streaming services like Netflix, but will it be enough to help out Nickelodeon? Like, will they go and tap on a new market while the channel, like, what's going to happen with the channel in the future? Honestly, that is something that I do feel like we just have to wait and see on that. And overall, with all this, are they actually going to do these TV channels? Well, we're gonna have to wait and see. I'm more confident, like, honestly, the only thing I feel like the most confident about that could turn out well is just the Paddington series. And outside of that, well, good luck. We'll see what happens. Okay. Now, with that said, I would like to go and pass it on to the chat wall, and I would like to know, what do you guys think of Nickelodeon's new plan of expanding their materials onto streaming services and outside of the TV channel? Do you think it's a good idea? And also, what do you think about the TV shows that they have revealed that they want to make? Do you think they're going to work out? Do you think it's going to be terrible? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so we got a whole lot of people saying, let's see, SpongeBob spinoff, huh? I'm honestly pretty interested because I love the show to the point where it got me interested in the frickin' Broadway show. But what will they do? Will they do spin-offs with Bubble Bass, Zeus the Guitar Lord, the SpongeBob puppet? Are we gonna finally get a full episode of Squidward chat? If so, my body is ready. Well, apparently some people are anticipating the idea. Alright, let's see. I hope that spin-off of SpongeBob doesn't solely focus on Patrick Star. I mean, while he has gotten better in later seasons, he's not exactly the best character to have his own show, especially with the episode like Card and Ink Lemonade. When Jimmy Neutron had a spin-off, it focused on Sheen. It was Planet Sheen and it stunk. I do hope the Casagrandes is just as good, if not better, than the original Loud House. Yeah, oh, that is true. I mean, technically, this isn't the only spin-off that they are developing. It is true that Nickelodeon is also developing a Loud House spin-off with the Latino family, with the Casagrandes. So maybe this could all... Yeah, that is actually true. I never thought of that. So maybe one of SpongeBob wouldn't necessarily sound like too extreme, but I don't think honestly, I do agree that Patrick doesn't sound like the most ideal when it comes to having his own spin-off. Either that, or it's like you just put him into space, you just give him his own planet, and you call it Planet Patrick. I'm gonna be like Ultra Lord! Okay, let's see, what else do we got? A SpongeBob spin-off series sounds interesting, and I'm interested to see what they are going to do for SpongeBob's 20th anniversary. I did hear they are doing big plans for it. In fact, I think they are, from what I've heard, they are doing an hour special on it around the time when it's officially the 20th anniversary. So that we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's see. Do we have anything? Oh, wow. Like a lot of people. Oh, wait a minute. We got something a little bit different. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there are people who are talking about something outside of the SpongeBob spin-off. I understand that Nickelodeon is producing shows and movies on Netflix because cable is dying off, and I'm interested in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Loud House movie on Netflix and the Paddington series, but I'm not all for the SpongeBob spin-offs. Oh, and that is true, actually. Now, that is one thing I forgot. Yeah, that is one thing that I forgot to get into, is the factor that they don't want to make just one spin-off. They want to make several. They did say spin-offs with an S. And that is honestly a little bit concerning. Like, if you really want to do a spin-off series, then you really cannot bite more than you could chew. Just honestly start with one and just like really try to stick to it. Don't try to develop several at the same time. Honestly, at that point, that really does sound like a pretty foul idea. That does sound like, yeah, this can really screw them over. Okay. Now, with all that said, I think we are pretty much good with Nickelodeon. And now it is going to be time that we are going to flip the channel, and we're going to go on to another streaming service, which in this one is actually going to be Hulu. And Hulu has a whole lot more plans when it comes to some of their animated series that they want to develop. In fact, they want to be a little bit of the new Netflix, including their own series of Marvel series. Marvel animated series, to be precise. Okay. Going back into what I was talking about. Yes, Marvel has officially revealed that they are developing 4 animated series and a special for the streaming service Hulu. Now, what they want to do is a little bit more of a satirical version of what they've already done with Netflix with The Defenders, in which, on Netflix, they used to have series like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Iron Fist. But this one, though, they want to go a little bit more wild and a little bit more animal-centric with the shows that they have planned. And, apparently, we already got the information, and in terms of who might be working on these TV shows, we got that info, and I'm going to be reading from my source here on The Hollywood Reporter, as it states. Now, the first series that we got is going to be called MODOK, centers around an egomaniacal villain let me rephrase that. That did not come out as well as I hoped for. MODOK centers around an egomaniacal supervillain with a really big head and a really little body, who struggles to maintain control of his evil organization and his demanding family. Writers Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt will also executive produce. Then our next one is going to be called Hit Monkey. It tells the tale of a wronged Japanese snow monkey mentored by the ghost of an American assassin as he cuts a wide swath through the Tokyo underworld in this darkly cinematic and brutally funny revenge saga. Writers Josh Gordon and Will Speck will executive produce. Then the next one is going to be Tigra and Dazzler Show. It is a story about the two woke superheroes and best friends, Tigra and Dazzler, as they fight for recognition among powered people who make up the 8 million stories in Los Angeles. Writers Erica Rivinoggia, I hope that I say that right, Erica Rivinoggia and Chelsea Handler serve as executive producers. And probably one of the most recognizable of them all would be Howard the Duck. He is trapped in a world he never made, where America's favorite fighting fowl hopes to return home with the help of his unstoppable gal pal Beverly before the evil Dr. Bong can turn him the crispiest dish on the menu. Writers Kevin Smith and Dave Willis will also executive produce. And then finally, we're going to have this major crossover with all these shows coming together in something called not the Defenders, but the Offenders, as it follows MODOK, Dazzler, Tigra, Hitmonkey, and Howard the Duck as they are all forced to team up in order to save the world and certain parts of the universe. So that is pretty much the big plan that Marvel wants to do with Hulu. And you could tell this is, of course, a major joking version of what they have already developed with Netflix. They're going to take themselves a lot less seriously than what they did with Luke Cage and Daredevil. In a way, you could see this as more as like a Guardians of the Galaxy's take, where with Guardians of the Galaxy, it is a lot more satirical than most other Marvel movies out there. So it's the same thing right over here, where they decided that with the Offenders, they're just going to go, they're going to be absolutely wild and let loose and just let the comedy be as prominent as the action as it would be displayed. I'm actually just checking out here if, okay, we don't necessarily have a release date. I was intrigued to know what they were talking about, mentioning about December 21st, but I think they were mentioning The Runaways. I just want to have a quick read. Let's see. They will expand Marvel's slate on Hulu, which already includes the drama series The Runaways, which is awaiting word on its third season after his sophomore run dropped all its episodes on December 21st. Okay, so yeah, that was mentioning more about The Runaways, so we don't have an official confirmation regarding when these animated series are coming out. But I do feel like this is a pretty smart move of Marvel to actually go and do this. Now, I know that some people might actually be confused and think, okay, well, if they want to go and develop more Marvel series, why not, why are they not putting it on Disney's streaming service? Why are they not putting it on Disney Plus? Well, there is a pretty good reason for that, and that is mainly because with Hulu is soon going to be Disney's streaming service as well. Once the Fox-Disney merger is finally done, Disney will own the grand majority share of Hulu, making it their streaming service, so it actually belongs to them. And at that point, Disney would be allowed to go and put in whatever they want. So I can imagine with Hulu, they would go and try to put their more adult-oriented series onto that. And that's what I'm also expecting with these animated series, that they will be a little bit more adult-oriented. They're not going to be family-friendly animated series, but they're going to be a little bit more crude, a little bit more vulgar, and maybe a little bit more sexual. You never know with these things. I mean, you've seen the Howard the Duck movie. You've seen that surprise duck in the bath. But anyways, I do feel like this is a very smart move, because the significance with Hulu, however, is actually with the fact that the most popular shows that are currently running on Hulu are actually adult-oriented animated series. Hulu is actually a major competitor in terms of a streaming service delivering adult-oriented animated series, much like in the veins as Netflix. Because the most popular shows that people love to watch on Hulu would include stuff like Rick and Morty, South Park, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers. They even mentioned this here in the Hollywood Reporter. Just want to see where it is. Yeah, and on top of that, they also mentioned that they are collaborating with Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty, to go and create a brand new animated series called Solar Opposites. So, of course, they're, kind of like the main attraction of Hulu would be adult-oriented animated series. And I think that's what Marvel is planning out with The Offenders, is to go and tap into that market onto Hulu and try to make adult-oriented animated series. And it would be the perfect place to fit that in there. It would, like, I can imagine how shows like Hitmonkey and Howard the Duck, they can blend really well with stuff like Rick and Morty and South Park and Bob's Burgers, that they would feel right at home. So honestly, I do feel like it is a very smart strategy. Now, how the series is going to be, I feel like we do have to wait and see, but for the most part, we do see that a lot of them, they are a bit in good hands so far. Like, we do know that with Howard the Duck, we got Kevin Smith that is actually going to be involved. And even with MODOK, it's actually going to be Patton Oswalt who will actually be in there, and he will work things out. Maybe he's going to star as MODOK as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But I don't know if this is actually going to be connected with the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe, if they're going to do a little bit like The Defenders, where there is a bit of a connection with the MCU and those Netflix shows where Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, like, they are a little bit associated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for that, we would have to wait and see. But if that was the case, then there's only one thing that I would have to ask. Can we please go and give Howard the Duck to Seth Green? Can he be the star of this? Because technically, Seth Green was Howard the Duck in the post-credits of Guardians of the Galaxy. So can we have can we have a little bit of that connection as well? Can we have Seth Green as Howard the Duck? That would actually be amazing. But yeah, honestly, hearing about these shows and Marvel going absolutely wild with these series, honestly, I do see that there is a lot of very strong potential. Again, we don't necessarily have an official release date until when these shows are coming out on Hulu, but honestly, they are grabbing my interest of a crazy Marvel series, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Alright, so with that said and done, I think we are all good with the whole Marvel Hulu story, and now I want to know, what do you guys think in the chat wall regarding these new animated shows? Do you have a personal favorite that you are excited for among those 4 animated series? Are you guys excited about The Offenders? Let me know what you all think. Okay. Now, let us see. Seth, Howard the Duck was in Mission Breakout as well? Oh my god, that is actually... Oh my god. Oh man. Well, I mean, probably not as an... Like, it would be amazing if Disney legitimately made an audio animatronic of Howard the Duck, but I don't think that is the case. But I never knew that Howard actually has a cameo in Mission Breakout. I'll have to look at that. Oh my god. And I already see some people are trying to flood the chat wall comments with duck tits. Woohoo! Oh god, how old is that reference? My god. It's been years since Nostalgia Critic did that Howard the Duck episode. Let's see now. Let's see. While I'm not sure if I'll watch these, it is good that Marvel is expanding to shows on Hulu, like with Howard the Duck. Are you considering doing an Are you considering doing an AniMat watches on the Howard the Duck movie? No, I don't think so. Okay, anyways, do we have any other ones? I wish I could care, but Hulu is something that my country does not have. But I will say that a Howard the Duck animated show is a better medium for the character than having him in a live-action movie. Yeah, that I can definitely agree on that. Also, didn't we have MODOK as one of the main villains in the animated series, the Superhero Squad show? I think the Superhero Squad show is something a little bit different. I don't think that is officially a part of the MCU. Alright, anyways. What else do we got? I'm up definitely to see all these shows on Hulu since I'm a huge Marvel fan, just like Spider-Man. Whenever I see an upcoming Marvel show, I'm so up for. The question is, are they going to do similar animation like the recent Disney XD shows like Spider-Man? Because I didn't like the look of it. It's so cheap looking. Well, considering that this one is going to be a little more adult-oriented, I think they're going to go with a little bit of a different style. Especially if they're going to have, like, different animals, like with Hitmonkey, with Howard the Duck, and Tigra. I think they're going to do a little bit... They're going to do something a little bit different than Marvel's Spider-Man. Let's see. Considering that Disney will own a majority stake of Hulu as part of the Disney-Fox deal, Marvel is making an animated Marvel series. I wouldn't be surprised if Viacom merged with CBS right now. I keep hearing that kind of rumors a year ago. If that Viacom-CBS thing happens, Disney can have a fewer assets from Viacom to bolster their streaming service like Disney and Hulu. I don't think that's going to happen, actually. I've probably heard about those rumors a while back, but... yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't think that's really going to be a big thing that will happen right now. Okay, so I think with all that, we're pretty much all... yeah, I think we're all good. I think we're all ready to go and jump on to our next story. And I do believe with the next one... we have our grand finale. Yes, folks, it is time that we shall jump into the grand finale. And with the next one that we have coming up, now, I have mentioned before we got things started that we did have some significant deaths throughout this week, including Ron Miller and Dave Smith, which they are unfortunate deaths. But with this one, I am saving one major death for last, and it really is something that is of massive controversy, and you can guarantee that this section of the episode will be quite controversial. But, oh boy, things are about to get crazy. So, with this one, not only have we seen those deaths, but let's go ahead and talk about the death of the career of Vic Mignogna. Yes, it has been officially announced by Funimation that they are no longer going to be associated with the voice actor Vic Mignogna. Now, if you guys don't remember, I have mentioned about this before in a previous episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, where Vic Mignogna, who is a very prominent voice actor in many different anime dubs, where apparently he has had a lot of accusations and allegations that he has done some sexual harassment, that he is homophobic, and all that kind of stuff. Which, looking into the evidence that have been shown and seeing all the testimonials from different people and different victims, it has pretty much been proven to be quite true. In fact, so much so that debatably, the evidence that Vic Mignogna did it are a lot more prominent than some of the other people that have been accused of sexual harassment in the animation industry, like with Chris Savino or John Lasseter. The thing is, like with Vic Mignogna, there have even been some photographic evidence that he has done so. If you guys remember that article from, right over here, this article from Anime News Network, where they would discuss about the several stories that have been from different people in the anime community, not just with voice actors, but also with congoers, where Vic Mignogna would be sexually harassing people, not just when he was working as a voice actor, but also at conventions, especially towards underage girls. In fact, there's even pictures right over here. Like, this is a 14-year-old where you see this guy, like, he's hugging, like, he is really close, hugging a girl, and, like, he has his arms right underneath her jacket, and even going in close, and even kissing them. Like, this is something that I think we can all agree that these are things you should not do, especially to a freaking 14-year-old. This is disturbing. This is absolutely wrong. And from there, his career has been going in a downward spiral. Not only are all the appearances that he would do at conventions, they have all been pretty much canceled, but now he has been pretty much getting himself removed from the anime industry, where Funimation has officially released a statement on Twitter, as it says, which I am reading here in my source on Anime News Network once again. They have stated, "Everyone, we wanted to give you an update on the Vic Mignogna situation. Following an investigation, Funimation recast Vic Mignogna in Morose Mononokean Season 2. Funimation will no longer be engaging Mignogna in future productions. Part of our course mission is to celebrate the diversity of the anime community and to share our love for this genre and its positive impact on all. We do not condone any kind of harassment or threatening behavior being directed at anyone. And keep in mind, this is not the only company that decided to go and kick out Vic Mignogna. There was also Rooster Teeth that actually did kick him out as well, where he was playing Uncle Crow in the series Ruby. But then after the cases have been shown up, it has pretty much been to the point where Rooster Teeth decided to immediately kick Mignogna out and immediately recast him in Ruby. So now it's at the point where with Vic Mignogna's career, it's dead. It doesn't matter which side you're in. Like, it doesn't matter if you're against Vic Mignogna or if you are for Vic Mignogna. Like, his career is done. It is over. Like, it is legitimately at the point where Vic now needs to consider a freaking career change. Because, like, if you end up getting kicked out at Funimation, then you are out of there. Like, now your reputation has been scarred for freaking life. And there is nobody who is going to bring you from there afterwards. Because you gotta keep in mind, with Funimation is actually one of, if not the biggest North American company that specializes in distributing Japanese animated properties. You know, to bring Japanese animation onto the world, and especially in North America. So the fact is, the fact that they would go and they would do their own investigation to see for themselves if these allegations are true or not, and they have come to the point where they've come to the conclusion, yeah, this guy needs to get out of here. They're at the point where now they've come to the conclusion that there's just too much crap on him where they can no longer associate working for him. Because you got to keep in mind, with Vic Mignogna, the allegations that they have come against him, like all these cases, these are actions that he has done not just suddenly, not just like they all magically happened in 2019. This has been going on for many years, some of which can go back all the way back to 2010, with numerous and dozens of people coming out and telling their story about the toxicity that they have encountered with Vic Mignogna. And apparently that was just enough for Funimation to look at this and go, yeah, we can't do this. So if you are banned from the biggest anime company in North America, then there is no way that you're going to get hired anywhere else. So honestly, if I were Vic, I would consider finding something new to work on. Holy crap. Because, yeah, now we pretty much are at the point where with Vic Mignogna, there's no arguing rather if he actually did do it or not. The truth is, yes, he did do it. And like I said, there are more evidence than most other people who have been accused of sexual harassment, where not only do we have multiple and dozens of testimonials from victims saying that he has indeed done so, but also the fact that we got photo evidence that he did it, and that companies have done their own investigations and actually did conclude that he has to go. Like, they can no longer work with the guy. And yet, you want to know what the craziest thing about it is? That right now, it seems to be this massive flame war on the internet, where there are people that are trying to fight in the defense of Vic Mignogna, fighting against the people who are against them. It really is a big clash war. Like, if you are following this story, then you might be familiar with the hashtags where you got the hashtag #KickVic, where there are those people who are against Vic Mignogna, who are calling him out on his actions that he has done in the past and want him out of the industry for good. And then you got the people who are defending him, called hashtag #IStandWithVic, where they feel like he actually is innocent and they feel like he did nothing wrong and he shouldn't be punished for any of the actions that he has done. Which is honestly kind of strange, the fact that there are even people who do legitimately think that he is innocent and doesn't deserve to be punished whatsoever. It's kind of insane when you really do think about it. How is it that a man who is obviously guilty have enough fans to go and defend, that would go and try to defend him and want to try to save his career when it's already dead to begin with? Even when the odds are so against them, they're still trying to defend Vic Mignogna. Like, why the fridge are they doing that? So I decided to do some research, and I looked into some of their cases, like some of the posts and some of the videos that would explain, like, the hashtag I stand with Vic and people who would want to defend Vic Mignogna, and I come to the conclusion that there are two specific reasons as to why there are still people out there who would want to defend Vic Mignogna, and both of which are purely emotionally driven. Because that's the thing with I stand with Vic people, is that the reasons for why they want to defend Vic Mignogna is purely based on emotion. Whereas the people with Kick Vic, however, they would use logic and evidence. They would use their common sense. But the people who with I stand with Vic, it's not about common sense. It's not about the facts. They are purely emotionally driven, and why they are desperate to go and defend Vic Mignogna. So why is that? So, reason number one on why they do so is mainly because of their love for the animes that he has worked on. Now, you gotta keep in mind with Vic Mignogna, as I've stated before, he is a very prolific anime voice actor. He has worked on some of the biggest animes that are currently out there, not just of all time, but even some of the best recent animes. Like, he has worked on RWBY, he has worked on Black Butler, he has worked on Dragon Ball, he has also worked, I'm trying to think, oh yeah, of course, who couldn't forget, he also worked on Full Metal Alchemist. He has worked on all those animated series, and these are shows that have huge fan bases and people who absolutely adore them. In fact, they would wrap their life around those TV shows. Like their lives are all about those animated series. And for them, if you would even attack just one element from that show, then for them, they feel like it is an attack on like some of the reasons why they love the series to begin with. So when they see that people are going after Vic Mignogna because of his past actions of being a sexual predator and stuff like that, they view it as an attack on part of the reasons why they love the anime. Because part of the reasons why they love those animes like Dragon Ball and Full Metal Alchemist is because they love, part of the reason is because of the performance delivered by Vic Mignogna. And so they want to do their best to try to defend that love. So there is a case of fanboyism for why they want to defend Vic. It's because their love is so strong that they don't want anything to like attack it. For them, you're not allowed to attack anything that is a part of the anime that they love, justifiable or not. But then you got the second reason, and oh boy, the second reason right over here, we have a major reason as to why. Like, this can really explain a whole lot. Now, imagine this little scenario. You take one of these people from I Stand With Vic. You try to rile them up. You try to make some steam. You try to get them angry. And if you get them angry enough, then eventually they will burst out in rage and they will spill out 3 letters that they hate the most. 3 particular letters that they view as their arch nemesis of life. SJWs. That's right. For many people who are defending Vic Mignogna, for them, this is a fight against SJWs, against social justice warriors. So it would make sense that for many people who love Vic Mignogna, for the most part, they are all anti-SJWs. And before I continue, I just want to go ahead and mention this. Now, it is true that with social justice warriors, they can be pretty dumb. even though they do have some good intentions and they want to fight for a good cause, their approach of it can be often pretty laughably stupid. Like, down to the point where you gotta make fun of them for the way that often they can be very sensitive over little subject matter. You know, like, sometimes they can be a little bit too politically correct, and that can be a little bit ridiculous. Now, I can understand that, yes, it is true that that social justice warriors can be pretty dumb. But in the case of anti-social justice warriors, they are dumb to the point where it is no longer funny. Like, honestly, you have to question yourself if you really do want to laugh at the mannerisms of anti-social justice warriors, because a part of it would feel like it is a bit immoral that they would do so, you know? It's kind of immoral to make fun of anti-social justice warriors because they are so stupid that they might actually have a legitimate mental disorder. Like, I guess the nicest way to put it is that maybe it's not okay to make fun of anti-social justice warriors because those guys would be considered special in a way. Because the thing is, for those guys, like, a major part of their massive stupidity is because for them, they don't care about common sense. They don't care about logic and reason. They don't care about they don't care about the truth or anything like that. For them, they're just a massive ball of rage, and all they care about is taking down the enemy, to take down social justice warriors, to take down whoever they label as SJWs. And for them, they don't care about anything else. They only want to make things to go their way and nobody is allowed to think otherwise. Like, if you do not 100% agree with an anti-social justice warriors, then with those guys, they're gonna get pissed off and they will label you as an SJW and try to take you down as much as you can. For them, they want things to go their way so much, they would even try to go and try to silence people that they label as social justice warriors. So for them, in this case, like, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised that for most people who do stand with Vic, they don't even know anime. They don't even watch any of the animes. I wouldn't be surprised that for some people who stand with Vic, they don't even know who Vic Mignogna is before this controversy. For them, this is just an excuse to go and attack SJWs. Like, that, for them, that's just a reason for them to go and get angry and to battle out and argue against SJWs and try to be their little keyboard warriors and try to demonize whoever would go and think differently than them. So that's pretty much the two reasons why they would want to defend Vic Mignogna. It's not because of any legitimate evidence. It's not because of any facts. They don't really have anything because at the most, the only thing that they could offer is just godforsaken conspiracy theories. Like, they would look at this article and it's like, oh, they're just paid off. Oh, they must have been paid. Oh, you know what? Anime News Network must have been paid off. Oh, Funimation must have been paid off. You know, all that kind of bullcrap. And it's only fueled by their emotion and their own selfish needs, rather it be their own fanboyism of the animes that Vic Mignogna worked on, or their raging bias against SJW, why they would not want to, they would not use logic and reason. And also, there is another thing that, honestly, is just really stupid that they would keep bringing up. With the I Stand With Vic people, they would constantly keep on mentioning of the fact that they want to see, like, oh, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Why can't we do innocent until proven guilty? Can't we just have innocent until proven guilty? No, we absolutely cannot. Because of two massive reasons. Number one, let's say that, okay, we're gonna do innocent until proven guilty, and we're gonna let Vic Mignogna do what he does, appear in conventions, and do some voiceover work. And then later down the line, in 3 or 4 months, it turns out he actually is guilty. We actually do find that there have been so many cases, and we caught him in the act that he has been a sexual predator. And what's worse is that during that 3 to 4 months time where we decided to let him be innocent until proven guilty, there have been dozens more women that would come out and tell their stories that they have been sexually harassed by Vic Mignogna, and also like homophobia stories and all that kind of stuff, and even like going after underage girls. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, oops, you know, oh well, looks like making him innocent until proven guilty, it would cause more harm than good. Also, another reason why we cannot do it is mainly because for the people who want to say innocent until proven guilty, let me go ahead and ask you, what is it going to take for you to prove that he is legitimately guilty? What is it going to make you prove to make you go from I stand with Vic to kick Vic? Because honestly, you're not. You don't want him to be innocent until proven guilty. You just want innocent until proven innocent. Because we are at the point, we have so much legitimate evidence. We have like the multiple and dozens of people coming out with their story, with their experiences with Vic Mignogna. We got literal photographic evidence that he has done these things. And on top of that, like, we got companies, like well-trusted anime companies like Funimation and Rooster Teeth doing their own investigations and concluded that he is too toxic to work with. Like, these are all factual evidence that he did do it. And yet, you're just gonna keep on denying it. You're just blindly denying it. And if you don't believe them, then all you're gonna do is just keep on denying and denying and denying and denying and denying and denying and denying until inevitably people would just forget about it and we would all move on as if nothing happened. That, or you're just waiting for one moment where there would be this small piece that maybe he would be innocent and you're just going to exploit that entirely. There's nothing that's going to change your mind. No, we're not going to do innocent until proven guilty because you just want him to be innocent and not face any consequences, period. And honestly, this is at the point where I just have to go and have to say that, to be honest, this could be a bit of a controversial thing for me to say, but then again, I know that I can be a bit of a controversial figure, but honestly, it has to be said that if you're at the point that for people who are at the point that they still stand with Vic, despite the obvious evidence that he did do it, they are delusional. They really do not use their freaking common sense. They are absolutely nuts. They're just delusionally believing what they want to believe, and that's it. They don't have any form of legitimate evidence that Vic Mignogna is an innocent man that did nothing wrong. So at this point, they're just totally insane to try to fight a lost cause, honestly. And honestly, this is at the point where I feel like we really do have to discuss about a serious issue that, honestly, I don't see a lot of people bring up, but honestly, this is a case not just with people who stand with Vic, but this also goes to a lot of other different groups of people, like with anti-SJWs, with evangelicals, and especially with Trump supporters. The fact that for some reason, there is this toxicity that some people legitimately think that they can pick and choose what is reality and what is not. They think they got the ability to pick what is real and what is fake, what is actual fact and what is not. Like, for some reason, they think they're much smarter than scientists and journalists and mainstream media, and they could just go all around and think they can go with their own conclusions, thinking that something is legitimately true and what is legitimately something false. And the only thing that they got is their own preference. They think that they think that based on their own preference, they can pick and choose what is real and what is fake. Like, they can actually go out there and believe that, oh, if they heard something that they heard that something happened, and if they like it, then they could say it's true. But then there's also, if they heard something and that they don't like hearing that, then it must not be true. And honestly, it is insane. I mean, I know it seems like a pretty dumb and not that noteworthy kind of mentality to have, but honestly, we are living at an age where it's starting to become highly dangerous, where now we are seeing some legitimate deadly consequences with that kind of mentality. And if you don't believe me, take a look at anti-vaxxers. Like, we can all make our memes and we can make all our jokes about how, like, oh, they're, anti-vaxxers just want their children dead and all that kind of stuff. But that is not the case. But honestly, the truth is, with anti-vaxxers, we could joke about that, but it is actually kind of serious. You might have heard recently that there have been a measles epidemic, and a big part of it is because of these idiotic anti-vaxxers who refuse to vaccinate their children to get them the right medicine that they need in order to avoid this kind of deadly disease. And honestly, this is all because these anti-vaxxers, they pick to choose what they think is real and what they think is not. That they think they're smarter than scientists and believe their own wackadoodle conspiracy theories. Which honestly is not true, and it's ridiculous. And honestly, if you don't vaccinate your kids, then child services better take away your kids, because for God's sakes, vaccinating your kids is an important part of freaking parenting, seriously. But, and also, going back into the case with Vic Mignogna, it's the same thing. We are seeing some serious consequences regarding, people believing that Vic Mignogna is innocent. There are some dangerous and serious consequences where now people who stand with Vic, they are developing this toxic mentality that now, in order to try to prove that Vic Mignogna is innocent, that they are demonizing, they are harassing, and they are attacking victims. Like, they want to try to shut them up. They want to try to silence victims in order to keep Vic Mignogna in the position that he was in before, to be on top of the food chain in the anime voice acting community, to make sure that nothing happens. Like, they think they can do their best to fight against consequences for their actions, which can never happen. And that's another toxicity about that form of mentality, is that for some reason they can think that they can avoid consequences for their actions by pinning the responsibility on other people. We've seen this with Donald Trump, how he does that so many times, on a daily basis even, where whenever a problem would occur, he would pin the blame either on Democrats, on liberals, on Obama, on Hillary Clinton, and all his enemies. He thinks that, people like Trump, they think that they can have the mentality that they can be 100% right if they can throw their responsibilities, all their responsibilities, onto their enemies. And that's what they are. That's the same thing we're seeing here. That they think that they can put all their responsibilities and pin the blame on SJWs, on liberals, and all those kinds of people, and that they think they can get away with it. Which is actually not true. That's not how life functions. No matter what you do, your actions will have consequences, no matter what. And no matter how you feel, no matter what you say, that's how it's going to work. Even though you would do an action right now, maybe you're not going to face the consequences immediately right afterwards, but you never know that in maybe days later or months later or even years later, you will face those consequences, and it might screw you over and completely destroy your life because you have committed those actions. And nobody can get away from that. Nobody would be able to get away with it. No matter what, it's going to come back and it will haunt you and really screw you over and bite you in the butt. It can happen to Vic Mignogna. It can happen to Donald Trump. And it can most certainly happen to you. So that's honestly the whole thing with this. There is no denying, there is no arguing. Yes, Vic Mignogna has done all those actions. He has done those homophobic and those sexual harassment actions. He is a sexual predator and a homophobe, and he deserves to have his career destroyed for that. He should not be working with that kind of mentality that he has. And I just want to cap this off by saying that for those people who still think they want to stand with Vic and stuff like that, now I know that maybe you're a little bit angry of the fact that they want to try to, they're angry about the fact that maybe they're called delusional and stuff like that. But all I ask you guys is just, if you stand with Vic, can you just please take a moment to listen to the victims? Not demonize them, not attack them, okay? Set your love for the animes on the side, set your hatred for the SJWs on the side, and just take a moment to actually listen to these people. Actually listen and just hear their stories and what they went through with Vic Mignogna. That's all they're asking for, is to just sit and listen. And if you can, then maybe you will see in their point of view of what they've been through. Because they wouldn't just lie about that. They wouldn't just make up some bullcrap kind of story to destroy one thing that you like about an anime. Oh, excuse me. They wouldn't just destroy one thing that you like about an anime. And I mean, the animes that you love, they're still going to be there. I mean, the animes of the past that have the voiceover work of Vic Mignogna, you can still get it on DVD and VHS. And even right now, like Dragon Ball and Ruby, they're still going to survive without Vic Mignogna. So honestly, at that point, just at least take the moment to just forget about whatever hatred for SJWs and forget about whatever love for animes that you have. Put that on the side and just listen to the victims is all that I am asking. And if you're not going to listen, if you still want to conclude that you want to stand with Vic, then honestly, do us all a favor and just delete your social media account, because honestly, that's probably the best thing you can do, because if you're going to keep that mentality going, then you're pretty much at the point where you're just going to be asking for trouble, and then eventually down the line, it's really going to screw you over. Not only ruin your reputation, but you might even end up with a criminal record. Like right now, I've seen so many people who stand with Vic. They are harassing and attacking one of Vic Mignogna's victims. I believe is the voice actress Monica Rial. Like they're pretty much throwing all their anger towards her, and like she's at the point where she's ready to sue anybody who has harassed those people. And yeah, she is in her complete right to do so. So if you still want to stand with Vic, if you still only want to believe what you want to believe instead of listening to the facts, then honestly do yourself a favor and just delete your social media before you get yourself in jail. That is all I'm asking. Okay, so with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and I want to know, what do you guys think about the whole scenario with Vic Mignogna? Like, I just unleashed a big piece about it, so let me know, what do you all think about the whole scenario? Let's just go ahead and just read what people have to say in the chat wall about this. Okay, so the stuff have been done to those girls sort of remind me of the controversy with John Christopher Lucy's way with girls. They should have done more than just cut ties with Vic. They should have had him do community service and do harassment talking like Chris Savino. Yeah, they could. Let's see now. Let's see. For me personally, I was never that big into shows that he has worked on except for Dragon Ball, and even that is very minimal, so I don't have a big connection with the man's dub work. However, I will say that what he did is egregious and should be punished for it, though one that has to wonder what was going through his head at the time. But it's not worth it for me to get angry all about. Also, AniMat, I'm sorry you had to go on this tangent about this issue. I hope you can calm down after all this. Oh yeah, trust me, guys. Like, honestly, like, after I would go onto these tangents and stuff like that, I feel so good. Like, at least, like, you know, with this podcast, it gives me the ability to just let it all out. And right afterwards, I feel calm. I feel good, you know. I feel great that I managed to just get it out there. Let's see. The line between SJWs and anti-SJWs are starting to become non-existent. Because ironically, the anti-SJWs are pretty much doing the same thing as their enemies. By the sound of these supporters, all they want to do is just prove that they are right and are the most toxic people, because all they believe are their own bias and denials. In fact, this is similar to the movie Perfect Blue, where there are people that are so into their own world that they harm others on their own perspectives. And yeah, you actually, you know, you do bring up a very good point, that now it's at the point where anti-SJWs, they are so hypocritical, especially with the way that they would label others as like freaking snowflakes and stuff like that. Like, it shows that they are pretty much acting exactly like how they want to try to portray SJWs. And if you don't believe me, take a look at all the guys who are angry about the Gillette commercial. Take a look at how they're all offended and that they're all throwing a hissy fit just because the Gillette commercial is telling guys to not objectify women and not put yourself in a place where you feel superior and that you can answer all your problems through violence. I'm just saying. Okay, do we have any other quotes? Let's see. The only thing I will say that I'm glad Vic lost his career because someone has been excused enough. All right. Oh boy, of course, indeed, because not all men are not bad. Yes, oh yeah, because you cannot walk away in this situation without someone pulling up the not all men card. The quote, yes, not all men, the quote that is said by all men, ironically enough. Oh my god. Okay. That was a long rant you made, but I still don't know this guy well since I don't watch animes a lot, and still I am glad that Funimation did the right thing on firing him because I can imagine how these girls are suffering right now from the experience with Vic Mignogna. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you're definitely right. And honestly, honestly, after all this, I definitely do hope for the best for all the victims. I do hope for the best for Monica Rial, for other voice actresses, and especially for all the other con-goers to be safe and that they can grow from that experience. And hopefully they will see justice from the dreaded actions from this sexual predator. So I do wish the victims all the best of luck, and they have my full support. And I think with all that said and done, that should be it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and what a wild adventure it has been. And honestly, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. It has definitely been a lot of fun, and hopefully with the next episodes we could get something that can be as crazy as this. But in the meantime, all I could say right now is just thank you guys so much for watching, thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, see you later, dudes!